All right. Happy Tuesday evening. Welcome into episode number 178 of the Toilets to Titles podcast, which is a part of the Toilets to Titles podcast network. Tonight, we're bringing it down a notch. We are simplifying things, which is odd if you're tuning in live and you see who I'm with and you're like bringing it down a notch. But in a sense, we are. We're talking IDP Fantasy Football for beginners. And I'm bringing on the IDP A team. The two current halves, which may eventually be thirds again. The two current halves of head-to-head. My guys, I'm going to start with Nino Brown at Nino Brown _ T2T on the Twitter. Nino, what's cooking? Long day.
Hold on. Hey, kudos to you, Coach. You are the maestro, but you passed everything you needed to pass today. Give you some flowers. Kudos to you, my guy.
Appreciate it.
I know you've been, stressing that out, and you finally got that out the way. So check that off the list and keep on getting some more checks as we go. So IDP, we're talking IDP. I'm with my guys. I'm with the IDP man at the bottom of the screen. This is going to be a good one. I'm excited. Maybe Milkbox Russ is watching this one. Get ready for the episode coming up after this. He's been gone for a little bit. He needs to do a little refreshing, but it'll be fun. We had that rookie IDP mock last week. Shout out to those guys, in the community that were able to hop on with us, Maze and Iggy and a few other guys, but we always appreciate them guys. Boom, are you ready for this one?
Man, hey, I stay ready, but I'm only here because you guys are here. I mean, that's just what it is. I just appreciate you guys so much, to be honest. I mean, I'm literally here because of my guy up here in the corner. Coach has let me keep going and traveling and putting miles on my vehicle. And I don't want to tell you how many. I have to go buy a commuter car. I've decided it's got to happen. I put 40,000 miles on my vehicle this year, mostly because of this.
Yeah.
So
Honda Civic, bro.
I'm telling you, it's the T2T Winnebago, and that's what we're gonna park it at Jared's house. So Jared, hopefully we can find him. And I know you're like in Tornado Alley, so I don't know.
Hey, I'm in this weird spot. We haven't had a tornado in my town in
I hope I
like
didn't jinx it.
57 years
Right.
or 72 years or something like that. It's a crazy number. Like
It's a long time.
Yeah, 70. I think 1952 was the last time. So it's been 71
tornado
years.
Just came up.
We get tornado warnings all the time, and then they just go, we're good.
So if you're new to the show, what Jared's referencing is Senior Bowl, NFL Draft, NFL Combine. We are Toilets to Titles. A lot has changed over the first 3 years of the show. We're heading into either year 3 or year 4. I lose track of numbers. I know we just had our 3rd anniversary, so I don't know if that means we're going into year 3 or we're going into year 4.
You're going into 4.
Okay, so we're going into 4. And now we're capable of doing all these things. And Jared has been leading the charge, and he has been at everything, and it's incredible. But that's why patreon.com/toilets to titles. It is very helpful, and we are very grateful to anything you can contribute to the show, because we are giving you coverage and footage live from all of these events. Like, we absolutely crushed it at the Senior Bowl. Jared and Dino crushed it at the NFL Combine. Jared crushed it at the NFL Draft. And I'm not just putting this out there and just making stuff up. Go to the YouTube channel, go back a few weeks, see for yourself. And if you like the footage and you want to be able to watch that stuff live and interact with us and ask us questions, we got a Gilded Chat. You're going to have more premier access to us if you DM me on the Twitter at Coach Sheps or Nino or Jared or the show at Toilets to Titles. You get in the Patreon, you get in the Gilded Chat. You are going to be essentially, you will not be at these events, but you will have a voice at these events, because you'll be able to get into our ear and make sure we are delivering directly to you and for you the content you want. So that's my only pitch right now. You help us. That gets us the Winnebago. So Jared doesn't have to put all the mileage on his vehicle, and boom, we're good. Then, maybe we'll have a Patreon tier at some point to get you into the Winnebago.
So I'm thinking, the Gilded Chat, and why don't we get an IDP channel in the Gilded Chat? Whether, after this episode, I think we might have a couple more people that are going to want to keep the wheel moving, and they're going to have questions. And I think this is going to be a good thing to do.
I like it. Yeah, we'll get that. So I know tell everybody a little bit. So Head to Head comes up Tuesday nights after Toilets to Titles, and it's also on. We're on all audio platforms now. We have everything separated by the logo, so you'll know if you're listening to Toilets to Titles. Head to Head on the clock. So tell everybody a little bit about when you started and what kind of content you've been doing, and what they have coming down the road from you guys.
Boom, go ahead.
All right, so we started. I mean, I think we're 45 regular episodes, not counting lives. Chats, mock drafts, everything that we've done. My guys with, we brought on a ton of guests talking about, our dynasty rankings, which are coming up. My rookie rankings with Nino are coming up really soon. Now that everybody's got their landing spots, we're going to do a 3 up, 3 down tonight. 3 guys that we really like, where their location is, where they like playing. 3 guys we don't really love, but maybe a guy you can bring on your taxi squad or just really enjoy them for in the future. Because all it takes is 1 year for a guy to blossom and become a stud, and you didn't really know who he was last year. I'm just going to give you Nick Benito from last year being a rookie. Nobody really heard about him. Eric Kendricks is gone. He's, shameful plug for my Sooners. So it's just one of those things. Like we started from the bottom and now we're here. You know what I'm saying? So we're not messing around. We dig in very hard. We're live everywhere we go. Our chats between me and Nino go to like midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then restart at 3 o'clock because we both had to take an hour nap. And lots of energy drinks between us. And then obviously we bug Coach up here. Hey, what do you think about this? And what's your IDP guy? Because he loves it just as much as we do. So there's, that's where we're at. I think I have to check the numbers. I'm positive at least 50 at this point. So
yeah, we're about 50 into it. I mean, I started doing fantasy. Okay. Now I'm all the way on the dark side outside of, defense IDP, but now I'm full college. I'm in there. It's hard to get removed. I'm like I'm leeched. I'm sucked onto the college football world, and it's hard to get me off. But you said to me one day, like, the guy in the ice cream truck, would you like to come on this head-to-head show with us for these rankings? Would you like this ice cream, little man? Come on over. And then I was thrown in the back of the ice cream truck. I never was able to get out. And I said, well, I'm in this truck. I might as well learn a little bit. And now there's another rabbit hole with me and Alice. I'm down that I cannot get out of. And I love it because, you find guys and you're able to plant your flag on a guy like Jalen Petrie when I did. And my guy Joe Toot said to me, oh, that missed tackle rate, 20-something. He's going to have to fix that. Well, look what happened. My guy ended up being almost a top.
I think safety 1.
Yeah,
so,
he was in the top 10 overall, and he wasn't a linebacker. So,
yeah, top 10 in tackles. Number 9, actually. So
you find things. I'm appreciative of this. Appreciate everybody in this community. It's been great. But this is the dogs. You get guys like Ray. You know what I mean? This is what it's all about. And if it's not college football, I want to see that snot bubble stuff. I want to see, these guys wrap them up and take them down. So this is gonna be fun.
Man, I got a Ed Reed University of Miami jersey in that closet behind me. A Ray Lewis Black Ravens jersey, man. I would have known I should have put it on, but I love it, man. And part of IDP, part of the draw to me is when I'm watching a game. So this is kind of, I got some more things I need to get out of the way before we dive into this deeper, but just a basic generic thing for beginners. One of the things I enjoy when I first thought about getting into IDP, I was like, is it going to be stressful? Like, this is new to me. The scoring system is new to me. Like, listen, Superflex was new to me at one point. PPR was new to everything was new to me at one point, and I picked it all up. Like, you can pick it up. If you picked up all this other stuff, you can pick it up. And what has kept me here, multiple reasons, but one of my favorite things in season is every single game, it is more likely I have a dog in the fight. And some games, I have a dog in the fight on both sides of the ball. So if, say, I have CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys aren't on offense, but I have Jalen Petrie, Jaquan Brisker, Talanoa Hufanga, if I have somebody else, or, I'm sorry, I guess I would have to be somebody in the Cowboys defense, right? Like I have a Micah Parsons. So when Lamb isn't on the field, I got Micah Parsons for the Cowboy who's on the field. So there's no time for me to step away if I'm locked into the scoring. So, it absolutely, it's nonstop. And it just, I feel like once I step through the door, I can't go back.
No,
Like, it's hard to retrace my steps. And then last year,
candy. I'm telling you, the candy, bro. They tease you.
last year we went as far as having an all IDP league. So in the complete other direction, Jared, you sucked us into that, and that was phenomenal.
Hey, I give Nino props. He ran that league, being a first-time IDP guy, running the league. I just was lucky enough to pull off a win. I just drafted really good because the waiver wire warrior, which is Nino, was absolute. I bet this dude dropped and picked up 3 person a week. Like, I'm like, Nino, how you gonna give me a chance here? Like, it was crazy to me.
I didn't steal your guys though. I always took at least 2 of the guys that I brought up on the show because I always feel if you're gonna talk about it, dude, don't be one of them guys that just puts them on TV for clicks and then runs and goes get somebody else. Stand behind your man, whether he's good or bad.
I love tracking trends. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jared.
One of those things. No, it's just one of those things that the main reason that I love IDP is because I get to watch all of football now. Yeah. I'm not watching Red Zone as much, and I love Red Zone. Don't get me wrong, but now I bought into Sunday Ticket again, and I really enjoy it because I can watch all football games now, and I missed it as much as I love going to high school games and college games. I enjoy that because fantasy really took over football, professional football for me. And now I get to watch all professional football games, and I'm locked in. Like, I can't wait for this guy to get a tackle and interception. Like, is that guy on my team? I absolutely locked in for 8 hours, which is, bad if your significant other doesn't like football. But that's your choice. It's a life choice here. You gotta bring them in. You got to get them interested, and that's why I love IDP. Yeah, go to. Every Sunday, get your nails done.
A few times.
Go to
brunch. Get them done. Don't like how they're done. Get them done again.
Get mani, petty.
Yeah.
Go get lunch.
Go to brunch.
Yeah, exactly.
Just go to book club. Have a good day.
Yeah, you talk about fantasy side IDP and stuff, right? And it's like you say I'm the waiver wire guy, but it was something that I was able to dive into different because everybody and their brother thinks they got the hidden gem on offense, right? Everybody's going down the line and trying to get that 3rd or 4th running back where this guy gets hurt or this guy gets traded or that wide receiver who can line up in the slot and he's they're trying to get it. Oh, he tweaked his ankle. I'm going to put $6 in. Maybe someone only has, whatever it may be on the fab. So with defense, there's your league's usually like 10 to 12 people, but there's way more depth, I feel, on the defensive side of the ball. Right? Because the positions are smaller. You're not going 3 linebackers. You're not going 4 safeties. So there's more out there to get. And a lot of times, some of the guys out there are starters. And then you get the guys like Sanborn, who just, you didn't know anything about him with some last year, and he was a darling for most of the time until he got hurt. So, it's something different. You don't, like Coach said, you learned Superflex, you learned PPR. You learned how to get out of a diaper into regular underwear. That was the biggest thing you had to learn in your life, right? And your brain was able to, grasp that. So I think you can grasp going to the defensive side of the ball.
I like it. And I was kind of saying, as far as like the waiver wire stuff, we do a waiver wire show for our Patreon. Like if you're a Patreon member, I believe you only have to be tier 1, and we all work on it. And we kind of split it up. We make sure we get you quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, IDP players, linebackers, D linemen, and eventually, I'm going to let Jared discuss which positions he puts most value into. But when I'm working on that, with IDP specifically, there's obviously guys there's always, with football, like we're trying to find that Isaiah Pacheco this year. So there's usually like 2 or 3 running backs that kind of, one of them comes out of nowhere, steals a job. A second kind of takes a job from somebody injured. A third one comes out week 8 and kind of crushes it down the stretch and helps you. So it's usually like those 3 every year. But an IDP, I feel like you get 3 guys a week who kind of, because there's more linebackers on the field. There's more D linemen. So there's more opportunities for people to produce because on offense, offensive linemen don't produce. That takes 5 people away. Sometimes you have a block and tight end that takes 6 people away. Everybody on the defensive side of the football can produce. So you can find 3 to 5 guys every week. And I like to track. Like I usually do, like you can look on Sleeper, and we'll talk about this as well. Like you can look how a player scored last week, how a player scored 2 weeks ago. I like to track like 3-week trends. If a player is kind of, let's say, even if he had like 15, 2, 15, even if 2 of the 3 weeks are decent, now I'm scooping them up. Like, to me, I'm in. And you see that a lot. Like, was it Danico Autry? There was a defensive lineman like 2 years ago, interior D lineman for the New Orleans Saints, who just came on strong at the end of the year, and like sacks and tackles. And you can find that. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I'm going to let Jarod, I'm going to give the floor to you in a second. I just want to make sure, however you're watching this, if you're on the YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, comment. Let us know what's your favorite. If you have any IDP questions right now, let us know. If you're watching after the fact, comment on some of your favorite strategies, and we'll even post it on Twitter. We'll let everybody know. Make sure to check out the CFB Nation on the YouTube. They have a Gilded chat as well. There's going to be tons of content going on in there. Devy leagues, best ball leagues, like all sorts of good stuff. You're going to want to check that out. Check out toiletsandtitles.com. And if you have Apple Podcasts, go ahead, throw us a 5-star Apple review. That'll automatically get you into the Frankenstank Listener League, which we are going to dive into. Like, I was kind of nervous to get into that because I know when I get into that mode, like, I'm head down, like just completely just pouring out of my head into this thing because it's a monster, no pun intended. And we had so much going on that I needed to wait till the time was right, and the time is right. I'm ready to dive into that. If you give us a 5-star Apple review, there's like 40 spots open because we added 3 divisions. You get in that way. So with that, let's get into IDP for beginners. And Jarod, I want to ask you, all right, so right now I think the 2 best formats, right? There's NFL networks, there's ESPN, there's Yahoo, there's CBS. But I think the big dogs, at least in our circle, are MFL and Sleeper. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. If there's a third I don't know about, go ahead and bring it up. But which is your favorite place to play IDP?
So I'm really in between, right? Because I love Sleeper, right? I love how app friendly it is, to be honest with you. I love MFL because it's basically how it all started. And, I'm not loyal to a fault by any means. But the reason I love MFL over Sleeper at times is because it's web-based. And for the military personnel and me and people who are on ships and they're on deployment who still want to be able to active and might not be able to use their phone in certain areas, they can use, MFL via network. And that's the only big thing is you can edit anything in MFL. Now it's not near as user-friendly. It's really high-end. The app stinks, to be honest with you. If you're not resyncing the app every 10 minutes or every at least 2 or 3 days to make sure you're everything's set, that's the only biggest problem, right? Sleeper, they dual designate everything, defensive linemen, linebackers, and I love that. I think it is very app friendly. They do not mess around. A long time ago, I was with another group and we discussed doing IDP 123. I'm sure you've heard of it. Actually, it was our thought at IDP Army when I was there that we need to start an IDP. This is the standard. So IDP 123 is that, and that's how it started. I can go back 4 years from now when we, brought it up and how we should change things and do stuff like that and why it should be a thing. And I like standard scoring, but for me, I like the aspect that I want my defensive players as competitive as my offensive players. So if you have a crazy week out of Joe Mixon last year for 70 points, I want a defensive lineman or linebacker that can do the same thing. So it might not always happen. It usually hardly ever happens. But I want Aluakon going off for 10 tackles a game and 2 sacks, and then I've got 40 points.
Bro, that's sore subject because I think I got knocked out of the playoffs in our IDP league because he went off. Like, absolutely crushed it down the stretch. I had like a 15 tackle game.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a big, like I said, I'm a big IDP guy. I love the offensive side, but I want a defensive player to match PPR settings.
Yeah,
and if you're an IDP 123 guy and on Sleeper, because that's what it's based off of, it's not PPR strong. It's half point PPR, and your defensive players aren't as strong. And I want you to enjoy IDP as much as you enjoy offense. So you can have those crazy weeks that Judon goes off for 45 points because he had 4 sacks in the first half. And you're like, this is amazing. And then he's trade bait. You know what I mean? Because you can have fun with that. Nick Bosa is an absolute grab. Not only do you love the name, but you love the output. So I'm really big on both aspects. So I love MFL. I love sleeper, but it can get a little, if you want to go standard scoring and just want to, hey, I'm just trying to get into this, then go to sleeper, set your standard, and then make your minor changes, right? Nino sets up the league if, this player goes off for 100 points out of nowhere. So it's just one of those things.
But you can't just throw me out there as a speed bump like that and be all nonchalant.
No, I liked it, though. I really enjoyed it because it was an all IDP league. If it was not an all IDP league, it'd be different.
Right.
But because it was an all IDP league, you saw a crazy score. We watched one dude, have high score one week, and then it's just like, where'd he go this week? And I got coach beat me one week, and I had the second highest score, like 500 points. And nobody
had a
was
great
close.
Regular season. A great regular season. But not a good postseason.
Now,
I had a good postseason. So
why don't we reward guys who get things, that don't normally happen, right? You know what I mean? Like a D end or an interior defensive lineman, don't normally, go off for, say, 10 tackles and a bunch of sacks or whatever, a forced fumble. It's not something to do. Or if a safety, gets double-digit sacks, or 2 or 3 sacks in a game, like they should get more for that because it would be the same way if a tight end premium, right? Tight end gets a reception, it's 1.5 normally, maybe 2 in another league. So I feel like they should be rewarded for stuff like that. And receivers get points for yards. So if a guy gets a turnover and he takes a pick 50 yards, why not give him the points for the yardage on the return?
100%.
And people see the numbers like, oh, holy cow,
and that's how it should be. And Nino's in one of my main leagues with me. And it's you want to talk about split down the middle. We have 4 defensive players in the top 20. So of all scoring. So that's how I want it to be. I want you to enjoy the draft in general. Like I want, 24 picks for us. And I want you can see guys get drafted in the 4th round as a, linebacker or, TJ Watt or you're like, and then it's, how it is. It's like a run of quarterbacks, a run of defensive linemen, a run of linebackers. It's crazy everything. And, I don't love hurries. I love quarterback hits. I think hurries is the dumbest stat on the planet when it comes to, that's
why it's 0.5. They give him 0.5. So
but I don't like the hurry aspect because that's up to somebody could be like, oh, he was hurried. Well, no, he just ran out of the pocket. So
yeah, but so is assisted tackles.
We're getting like this is IDP for beginners. So now
and I understand that.
So
for beginners, you said sleeper or MFL, right?
Yes.
My biggest gripe with sleeper for a beginner, because half these guys don't know who their guys are. Their ADP stinks. Okay.
So if you're a beginner, what should you do to make sure you have your own rankings?
You
go to Toys Titles and check out our rankings every week.
Fuck it. So you were mentioning these additional stats, and I don't know if you could do that as easily on Sleeper. If you're a beginner who is setting up a league, I've ran IDP leagues on MFL, and what Nino was talking about, the bonuses, I had people give me heat because we do a playoff league every year, and this year we added an IDP aspect, and I did exactly what you said. If you're a defensive lineman and you get an interception, you're going to have an outrageous score because it doesn't happen a lot, and if you're a safety or, and you get a sack, or if you're a corner, it happens a little more than a D lineman getting an interception, but you're still going to get a bonus. People are like, oh, that doesn't happen. Why are you adding that? Because it doesn't happen. It happens rare, and I want to reward a player. If you happen to pick this player and he does that, like, bravo to you, because now you get those additional points. So you can.
Think about it. We give quarterbacks, hey, they go over 300. They go over 300 yards, right? And here's your points. If I get a sack safety,
a strip sack. Hey, a strip sack, and you recover it. That should be like the trifecta, dude. The sack, the forced fumble, and the recovery. You should get way more points.
Hey, I'm going to tell you right now, you get all that in my league, it's 24 points.
All right, and that should be that. That's bucket.
Here's what I'm going to put out there. If you're watching this currently, we appreciate you first and foremost. Comment if you are enjoying what we're discussing and you think we should turn this into something. Comment and we'll work on it. We'll get you in the Gilded chat. We're going to have the IDP. We're going to. Well, already while you've been talking, I'm working. I got the Frankenstein doc up. We're doing
Frankenstein IDP.
We're adding an IDP aspect, like so. This is breaking news, So I don't know how exactly we're going to add it, but we're going to add an aspect to it. I don't know how many players. Frankenstein, if you're new, it's originally it was one division of 14 teams, then it was 3 divisions of 12 teams, 3 copies of each player. Last year was 5 or 6 divisions and that many copies of each player. Now we're going up 3 more divisions. So there's a lot of things we got to nail down, but we're going to add an IDP aspect.
I need an IDP card then.
3 IDP flex.
Like just something that card. Now we're talking about beginners, and this has been a conversation brewer for the past month on the big angry bird that we call Twitter in the IDP community. Jared's going to know as soon as I start to bring it up. You said a standard score on IDP 1 through 3. How come we've derived away from that? And the community is saying that we need to get a unified system, and then we can get IDP on all formats, right? Because that's what I'm hearing across Twitter in the community is everybody saying that we can't come to a consensus, scoring. It's kind of all over the place. Where IDP 1 through 3 was kind of that beginning consensus scoring, and now it's just kind of like.
Well, I'm not to slam people, right? But IDP 1, 2, 3. If you got somebody that is so all about it, they don't care about anybody else. So instead of being flexible like you are with half point PPR, PPR, standard, 1 quarterback, super flex, right? You have to be able to flex on something. Say we started with standard, then we added half point PPR. I love PPR because I can be more flexible with my IDP points. So the more points for my offense means the more points for my defense, right? And I will give you my standard scoring. I will put up my standard scoring for everybody that you will have some big days out of guys. You'll have a 400-point, linebacker when you have 400-point wide receivers and running backs and quarterbacks, So you need those guys to be flexible. So the biggest reason why IDP 1, 2, 3 hasn't been working is because the guys that focused on IDP 1, 2, 3 do not care about anybody else. And we need to be accepting of other people, in general, and being flexible.
So you said you have your standard setting of scoring. I would like to get this, put it in a tab on the site, if you're okay with it.
100%.
Downloadable. So all of you that are listening, we will make it a downloadable link. So you could download it, copy it. And if you're on MFL, it's not as easy on Sleeper. And in MFL, you still have to edit, but you could copy it after you download it or however you want to do it. And you could post it in your bylaws on MFL so that everyone knows while you're filling the league, this is how we're going to do scoring. And then you could start to input it. So I think that's something, let's put that up on the site. Everybody out there, if you want to see what Jared's scoring is, and if you want to play in a league like that and you are a beginner, we're going to make it easier for you because you could just copy it and put it in there. I think that.
And again, if you have any questions, we're always here to answer. So on why I decided to do things.
All right, I love it. All right, let's. So now you're getting into an IDP league, right? So you're not sure if you want to start it, if you want to be the commissioner, if you want to join it. Do you think it's easier for somebody to start with a bunch of newcomers, or should somebody who's new and trying to get into it dive into a league with veterans and people who know what they're doing?
I think you mix and match.
In my personal opinion, because I was it last year, okay? I did 3 IDP leagues, Oz, and actually it was 4 because I got into the Jared's mid-season. I was in a mixed league with John Lobb for offense and defense. When you go into something and you're not experienced about it, okay? I don't care what pool, what ocean you dive in, there's always sharks in the water, okay? And they smell blood. Now, not everybody can adapt on the fly. I don't know. Especially some people, it could be a turnoff to them because it gets a little hectic early. You get an injury in week 2 or 3 and you're going diving and these sharks are nipping at you. You're like, whoa, dude, I don't even know what I'm doing. Next thing you know, you're 0-7, right? And you don't, you know what I mean? You could be throwing the wolves best way to learn, but they could also be mincemeat and be done. So if you're trying to have a productive longevity league where people, want to come in and you can expand, AKA Frankenstein, then you can't just throw people to the wolves. So I think if you're a newcomer and you want to really something you're interested in, I think a league, 10 people, right? But they're all the same experience level as yourself. And if you can get lucky and you get a guy like George Reed or maybe Boomer to run it, where you don't have to run it and you don't have the blind leading the blind in this, I think that's your best way to get into an IDP setting. I mean, I'm a guy that learns on the fly. You guys know you love to throw me in the pressure in the corner and the timer, and that's what I do. I'm like Michael Jordan. Brian Russell push him to the side and hit that shot. It's me. But I was a little the first couple of weeks. I was a little like, whoa, am I ready for all this? There was guys going left and right. I was kind of getting smoked. I was able to turn around and learn, but it can be overwhelming. So
probably a combination of what you're talking about, and then I'll let Jarod describe, his theory on it. But what you're talking about seems to be a combination of patience and competitive drive.
Yeah.
So you have to know yourself, right? And people like wise man, wise woman know themselves. So, if you're competitive or you're patient, probably easy, you might be able to handle, jumping in, diving as Nino did. But if you're not patient and you're overly competitive or not competitive at all, like you might be close to just quitting if it gets difficult. But Jarod, I am going to let you speak. Another thing came into my head. Nino's talking about 10 people leagues for newcomers. Like I'm thinking of putting a whole tab on the site. Just this is scoring recommendations. We might just throw up a page on the site of everything you need if you are a beginner, like one-stop shop. Here's what I suggest. Here's some scoring. Here's links to past mock drafts we've done. Just you could go to this link, and if you're getting into IDP, like we have you covered, like you're safe. We'll be your safety blanket till you don't need us anymore. You can throw us away, but you still support the show. That'd be greatly appreciated. But
Jarod, Jarod,
yeah.
What's wrong with Milkbox?
What happened?
He said MJ got nothing on Larry Bird. I'm from Boston, okay?
Jordan the GOAT.
Jordan never saw Game 7. That's all I want to say. He got 6 rings, took a year off, and never saw Game 7. Larry was a legend. That's why he, you know what I mean? And Larry got the best of Magic. But come on, bro.
Jarod, we're going to link up over the next week or two, and I'm going to pick your brain, and I'll do the groundwork, and you'll get me some data. I think we're onto something with that. But now you tell me your philosophy on, a newcomer, to get in with newbies or veterans.
I like a little bit of mix, right? I'm in a league. I have a guys that I like to bring a whole group of people in, some savvy veterans, some newcomers that, are never done IDP in their lives, but love fantasy football. The main reasons why I think it is smart for them is they get to see how, one, you know how to react to a team drafting and whatever for offense. The other players are used to the IDP, so you're going to see the run of different players, which kind of keys you in on that aspect. But you also see what kind of people you have in your league. Like, are they genuine people that enjoy fantasy football, or are they just sharks in the water waiting to manifest on you? Because you can really pick and choose on how to trade with people, because I'm a very big trader. I have to do it every week. I mean, I'm one way in a chat group, so I'm the commissioner in one aspect, but behind the lines, I'm Boomer, who's trying to help you enjoy IDP and get in the game. The commissioner side of me, I'm talking smack. I'm, pushing buttons, stirring the spot, right? I want people to absolute carnage.
I can confirm. We had some carnage at the end of the season last year. Worked out because we were all grown ups. We're all adults. But there was chaos for about 2 or 3 hours at the end.
You think that was chaos? My man, if I could, the chat we are in this guy's IDP league is NFSW. I'll wake up and I'm like, oh my, people would read that and think that Boomer's going in and tear heads off of people. Him and a couple of gentlemen get after it.
Oh, and I'm there to push the buttons. You get behind the scenes, and I'm like, especially with the new guys, I'm like, hey, what do you need to make your team better, right? I want you to enjoy it. I'm willing to absolutely destroy my team just to prove that I can make the playoffs when everybody else thought I was out of it. So, and I will do that, and I will mess with my team, but I want a competitive league. So in my league, and how I do this, and I think everybody should do this, the top 4 from the previous season in a dynasty, right, are your new Division 1. So we're 12 players, 3 divisions. The bottom 4 of that year go to the bottom 4, and your middle 4 and the middle 4. So it is the guys that did make the playoffs, didn't have a chance to make the playoffs, all 4 of them have a chance to make the playoffs because they're competitive now, not only in their division, but with everybody else, because they don't have to play the strong guys twice a week or, twice a year. They just have to play them once a year. But to play the weaker guys. Now, those guys that waxed house the year before, good luck making the playoffs, because you just got lined up with the top 4 guys in the league, and you're playing playoffs every single week just to make the playoffs. So, and I like carnage. Like, I like an absolute, craziness.
When I commission my leagues, like, I got too much going on. Like, I'm putting fires out, like, regularly, like, hey, everybody chill out, like, whatever, like, let's just be nice and easy going. And there's definitely different.
I throw gas on that thing.
Oh,
yeah,
bro. Yeah. I just put the popcorn thing up, and when I put it up in the chat, it like fuels the fire. He knows.
Right.
It's one thing or another with me. He does this popcorn thing, and I do this rabbit hole thing to him.
Yeah. He
right?
does. Yeah.
So I like to see Nino go down. Like, if I have an idea or something that I really want some discussed, we'll do it on IDP. I'll do it in the middle of a show. You can just see, and I'm like, you know what? I think we should really dig into that. And I'm no reason why I'm doing it except to make him dive into a rabbit hole.
Right.
I promise.
It's just you're the little rabbit with the clock. Yeah.
I'm starting the clock.
Clock's ticking. Yeah. I mean, I'm taking notes down right now. I'm already creating this page for the website based upon, all right, I put the top 4 from year one division, bottom 4. We're going to call that the Jared Gray IDP rule right there.
I think it's important for competitiveness, especially in a dynasty league. Like, there's no reason to keep the same 3 divisions for 4 years. I absolutely hate it. So
Rule 76.
Rule 76. If you don't know what Rule 76 is, no excuses. Play like a champion.
That's right. If you can dodge a
if you don't, you gotta go watch some movies, man. All right.
Yeah.
What position do you value the most in IDP? Like, there's always a top. There's, even if you can have scoring be fair, which position do you have at the top due to scoring, due to also, maybe you value this position the most because there aren't as many top scorers at this position. You need to target it first.
We're different. I promise you.
Maybe. I'm going to go with the linebacker position for this reason, because you can win and you can, stay relevant the whole time with linebackers that aren't sack guys, that aren't sack dependent, right? Because guys like Quay Walker, who are a run dependent guy, they stop running tackles, more tackles. So in his division, right, look at it. He was facing Delvin Cook, right? He was facing David Montgomery, the teams that run the ball. Justin Fields, his tackle rate was high. So if you were getting double-digit tackles, and then, for God forbid, if he were to get a turnover or a sack or a tackle for loss, the numbers go up. So on an off day, if your pass rusher, a la Fred Warner, Nick Bolton, didn't have a good day, they could still eat because they would stop and run blockers. So for me, it's linebackers. I think the consistency and that leveled playing field stays, you can be relevant with not having all-stars.
Go ahead, Jared.
Here's the best advice, and I completely agree with Nino on linebackers. And here's why. I'm a floor guy. Okay? I want to know that I will plug a player, walk away from the screen, knowing that dude's going to get me a floor better than everybody else. But their ceiling could be monstrous. So Aluakon never comes off the field, 100% snaps. If I'm going to tell you, snaps, tackles, floor. Those are my 3 keys. I want the highest percentage snaps, the most tackles I can get on average weekly, and what's the floor is going to be. Because I get the other 2, I promise that the floor is going to be high. A high floor means a higher ceiling. So There's a reason why people love Daniil Hunter, right? Because his floor was great. But that dude will go off for 3 sacks. And he was, when he was healthy, he was great. The reason why I like Max Crosby, he never stops. The motor is always going, and he stays on the field. So snaps, motor for him, right, which is floor, right, and his tackles. So a defensive line is great, but I'm a middle linebacker snap percentage floor guy. I think it is the key. I would rather have 3 stud linebackers and average defensive linemen, average safeties, but I won't touch a corner in general because they're too boomer bust, right? Even in the league now, I want high tackle safety, high tackle linebacker, and a high tackle defensive lineman who gets sacks, which for me is Christian Wilkins.
Now, I'm going to say if you play in a league with corners and you have to start a corner, you can definitely use, because I agree with the snaps, tackles, floor, and I say this all the time. You find a corner who's either in an offense, who has an offense on his team that scores 30 to 40 points a game, so you know the opponent's going to be throwing. You want a corner in that defense. You want a corner opposite a lockdown corner so that quarterbacks are going to target him. You want a rookie corner who's starting because quarterbacks are going to target him. And you want a guy who's not afraid to mix it up in the run game. You can definitely, and you don't need to draft corners because you find guys like that all the time on waivers if you track trends. You'll see a guy who's, all of a sudden guys break out all the time. You find a breakout corner. The Patriots find a breakout corner every year. Find the guy who's playing opposite that breakout corner because he is going to get targeted because someone's not going to want to target this guy. So, all right. I know we're going to get into, to finish kind of this segment, I want your top 5 IDP assets in Dynasty, but based upon your theory of floor, tackles, snaps, who are some young guys that you find meet that criteria? Like maybe some rookies, maybe some second-year players, like 2 or 3 guys that you think are guys that are very safe going into this season.
You asking me or Nino?
I'm asking you, Jared. Right, Nino,
okay,
if you're ready.
I'm the only reason that I'm going to steal one of his guys.
Yeah, I'll let you. I know which one he is.
So we're big on Jalen Petrie. We've been on Jalen Petrie. He's young, high tackle, high floor, high percentage, right? So you get him for a long time. You got him there, whatever. Quay Walker, we just talked about. High tackle, high percentage. Devin Lloyd, a really young dynasty linebacker who's next to an absolute monster in Aluakon. You don't have to pay for Aluakon getting Devin Lloyd, who had 1,000 snaps as a rookie, right? 1,000 snaps as a rookie is mind-blowing, especially considering he got in the doghouse a little bit. Chad Muma came in. He's a guy that you can look at. He's young. You ain't got to worry about it. But not only do I already see that he's young, but he got looks. That's the key to the happiness. I want a young guy who gets looks. So Aluakon's always going to be on my board. Bolton's always going to be on my board. Chad Moom is always going to, or not Chad, Devin Lloyd is there. Quay Walker is there. Max Crosby's young enough where he's going to be there next 3-4 years. Okay. I love the motor. I will always stay on the plant flag for this one. The hard problem is when you're talking about veterans who still have a lot of time left, but people don't really look at them. It's crazy. And how much I'll always bring up Brian Burns because he's not the big name like Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, Chase Young. It's funny. We watched people get drafted before him last year, and me and Nino were laughing about him. Like, you can give me Brian Burns 6 picks later, and I'm laughing at you while I'm riding up here, right? I'm a huge Christian Wilkins guy. The reason why I'm a big Christian Wilkins guy, especially this year, and it started mid last year, is because Bradley Chubb is right there, and you got to focus on him. You got to worry about Phillips across from him. Who's going to guard Wilkins if you got to worry about the other two? So the highest floor defensive tackle, and I stayed on this, I will continue to plant this flag, is Christian Wilkins. And you're going to get him a lot cheaper than the names. So I know I probably listed like 7 guys just now, but Petrie being my safety, Christian Wilkins being my defensive lineman, along with Max Crosby as well. I love Quay Walker, Aluakon, Bolton, Devin Lloyd are my. I don't have to worry about go get them. Plant your flag. Roquan is always there, okay?
Right.
But Roquan is the hardest guy to go get. So, because you don't know what they're going to do with their other linebackers.
Right. Nino, go ahead.
I won't go. This is his.
Sorry, I went crazy.
Yeah, this is your spiel. This is your lane. You're driving the bus. I understand. I'm going to give you 3 guys, one at each level, and then I'll give you a rookie that I like. Petrie's my guy, but I'm not going to go and repeat it. You got names out there. People are going to go Derwin James and Minka, right, and Buda Baker and all those guys. Brisker's a big name I like, but there's a guy out in Baltimore that I ripped apart for 10 weeks because the hype was there, the name was there, where he was coming from was there, but the production wasn't there. And then Roquan showed up and opened up all the lanes like a Mack truck, and Kyle Hamilton feasted, okay? Whether Patrick Queen stays there or Trenton Simpson takes over for him, now Kyle Hamilton is a full year, healthy in a position, knows what he's doing, and he's behind Roquan again. They have a connection. You could see it at the end of the year. Kyle Hamilton's the guy I'm targeting. I actually targeted him in our league. I probably should have went to fantasy jail for that trade. Boomer yelled at me the next morning. And so that's a guy that I really like. Now, Boomer got me on this guy. I dove into him more, and I'm all about it. Coach, we're both Hufanga guys, okay? But I'm off Hufanga because I'm all in on Drew Greenlaw, okay? Because Hufanga eats when Greenlaw doesn't play. When Greenlaw plays, Hufanga is the second thought. He's in the backfield. All he's doing is covering, okay? There is no turnovers. There's no wild plays. That's all Greenlaw. So Greenlaw is a guy for me that I'm all about this year, all right? I think if he's healthy, he seemed healthy towards the end of the year last year, I'm with it. Second-year player. He likes Max. Everybody likes Nick, right? I'm going to go with Aiden Hutchinson. Second year in. He ate last year. He had multiple big games, okay? They brought in a guy who is going to be in the secondary, roaming around, going to be giving him more time to get to the quarterback because he's going to be able to lock guys down in branch. So I think Aiden Hutchinson is going to take another step forward this year. He took a step forward from the first half to the second half of the year. Last year, I think he's going to take a step forward this year into the season as well. So those are my each guy at each level. My rookie guy, we talked about it a little bit. I'm still going with the guy in Cincinnati, Jordan Battle. Prime spot. The veterans are gone, right? Bates, Bell. It's Dax Hill. It's Jordan Battle. Jordan Battle is going to roam around that secondary and just eat right off rip. So he's the guy that's falling. I'm watching a lot of these IDP mocks and stuff. He's going late. He went, I think it was second, third round in Oz. So if you're a guy that likes safeties and safeties that's going to probably get a high tackle rate early, he's the dude I'm looking at.
It's funny you mentioned Dax Hill because that's where I was going to go. I think if their defense coordinator can really figure out how to utilize Dax Hill needs to be in the box. He needs to be coming off the edge. He needs to be covering wide receivers. Like he's a chess piece, in my opinion. He's super twitched up, super athletic, very aggressive, very physical. And I think if you play in a league where, because he plays nickel, he might, in some formats, you might be able to get him as a corner. You can get a guy like that as a corner. He is worthy of drafting because he's going to get you safety numbers from the corner position because they're going to move him all over, kind of like how Brian Branch is going to be used. And I love Brian Branch. Brian Branch is a cerebral player. I think Dax Hill is more instinctive. I think Brian Branch is more textbook, by the book, not going to make a mistake. He's going to do exactly what the coach wants him to do it, exactly how the coach wants him to do it. And I think Dax is going to react, and he is going to make plays, and he's instinctive. And so I think he's in that same position. I'm super excited for him.
I got one more that you just made. My brain went off of because as you were speaking about Dax, I mentioned this to Boomer towards the end of the season last year. I couldn't wait for him to get there. And now there was a guy that I was big on, and I mentioned him in the 5 Hot and Squatty Potty sections I had to head last year. Cam Dantzler Jr.'s gone from Minnesota, okay? They drafted a dude who got hurt early, and Lewis Seen. He's healthy. Most people didn't draft him, didn't put him on a taxi, didn't do anything. He's a guy you could probably get for nothing that is going to go into a starting role and going to eat. So if you can get Lewis Cine, if he's out there, waivers are available, and you can pick up dudes in the IDP league, I'd go get him now.
He's in the same mold as Brisker and Petrie. Like, dude's a hammer. Like, an
Harrison's not going to be there for that much longer. Harrison Smith's not going to be there for that much longer.
Yeah, he's about to take, he's about to get released by Minnesota at some point. He's going to have his swan song somewhere else where he's going to be brought there just to mentor a young rookie safety. But all right, honestly, I don't think we're going to get into the mock you guys did last week because I think this topic alone has been, absolutely phenomenal. So I'm going to suggest, because we still have one more question, but I'm going to suggest go check out Head to Head last week. You can find it on audio platforms, or you could find it on the YouTube channel. We have, if you're on the YouTube channel, you could see we have it split up by, whatever the show is. You'll be able to check all the different episodes from that show. So you'll be able to go to Head to Head, check out last week's episode. Obviously, stay tuned to the next episode.
It's on our live portion though. So
okay, so go there. Go check out Head to Head, and you'll be able to see the mock draft because they absolutely crushed it. And this could be the intro to you getting into an IDP league. As your foot is in the door, you got in that IDP league, go check out that mock because you're going to need that to help yourself get prepared. But another thing you're going to need to help yourself get prepared is I want to hear the guys' top 5 IDP assets. So I'm going to ask you, Jarod, then Nino, if you have a top 5, you can bring that to me as well. But Jarod, list your top 5 IDP assets in Dynasty to the newcomer.
So I'm going to go different positions. Luacon's my number 1 linebacker. Is going to stay that way. Nick Bosa's my number 1 defensive end. My number 1 defensive tackle is Christian Wilkins. My number 2 defensive end is probably Max Crosby, to be honest with you. When it comes to my other linebacker, it's Roquan over Nick Bolton, who's would be a top 3. And then the safety's the tough one because him being so young and just I love his spot is Jalen Petrie, and I can't stay away from him, to be honest with you. And I hate Nino because he literally stole him in a trade. So, I do because I was going for the same guy. So.
Yeah. I did it overnight when everybody was sleeping too. I'm gonna go a different way with this. I was under the impression you were saying assets and what each guy would be an asset. So my top 5 assets would be
any position. Yeah,
will be tackles at any position, scheme. Right, I'm not going after nose tackles, right? They really. I understand that you can get points for, but there ain't many Vince Wilforks out there right now. All right, so the nose tackles for me are something I'm going after. Opportunity at depth. All right, so last year I didn't want anybody on Denver linebackers core or Detroit's linebackers core because the rotation was too deep. Right, at Buffalo, that's another thing. It's rotation depth. At Buffalo on that line, there's guys that you can play. I don't know if I would start them because they rotate, 5-6 guys through the line, so you don't know who's going to be in there at the time you're not going to eat. Injury, I know you can't wait up for the next guy, but when camp happens, you see a guy go down, a la Lewis Cine, right? And you're going in. All right, who's this guy? He might not have played it all before, but the opportunity is there. So scheme, tackles, opportunity, depth. This last one, most people in fantasy don't go for, but Jalen Petrie's scenario going in the year 2 fits this, coaching. Because if it wasn't D'Amico Ryan, Jalen Petrie probably falls out of the top 5. But because D'Amico Ryan is a defensive-minded, safety's kind of like the leader in his defense, right? Safety in that middle linebacker. Those are the guys. I think Petrie can maintain that because he's going to be used the same way. Coaching changes, coaches that aren't totally defensive-minded, it can change what your guy's production is going to be. So those are my 5 assets.
Look at Jeremy Chin last year. The coaching philosophy, there was injury, but even when he played, the coaching philosophy changed. They had him more back rather than downhill attack. Yeah, right. They had him, I want you to be the umbrella over this defense and just clean. I want you to be cleanup duty, I don't want everything to run through you. I want nothing to get by you. And once that philosophy changed, his value completely dumped.
Which is why I like Jamie.
Yes, I was going to say, they don't need that because they got Jamie Robinson and a fully healthy Horn, right? So Horn should be able to move.
Horn, Jackson, Robinson and let Chin be the safety blanket, because Jamie Robinson's going to be an absolute steal in IDP.
Yeah, if he roams and Chin plays downhill and just attacks and plays in the box and a nickel, God bless, bro.
Thing is, and like football wise, not IDP wise, you look at that defense in general, just based upon like how you want a defense to play football. There are tons of possibilities and opportunities for that defense in general, and it might drive you crazy as an IDP owner because they have so much flex and position versatility. But
Frankie Luvo,
the Carolina Panthers are going to be fun to watch. So I want to let everybody know we are going to work on this IDP for beginners page. I'm going to make sure it happens. I'm going to pick Jared's brain. I'm going to take down some notes and give me about a week or two, and I'll make sure we got something nice and pretty for you, and we'll continue to add to it. I'm sure, I'll pass it off to you guys, the head-to-head crew, after it's initially put on. It'll be yours, and then you can add to it, tweak it whenever you want. But we're going to put a basic thing because I know a lot of people are starting leagues right now, starting dynasty leagues, and then we'll even work on some redraft stuff for you that'll come up maybe in July. So if you're just doing single season IDP stuff, we'll have stuff catered to you as well. Now, we're supporting you, so if you want to support us, check out patreon.com/toilets to titles. Help fund the T2T Winnebago so Jared doesn't have to put all these miles on the vehicle, on the pickup truck, and he's not driving all around like that. He's going to drive around in comfort, and maybe at some point we'll just get a driver. We'll be like John Madden in the tour bus, but that's down the road. At least just support the show in a basic way. Get in the Gilded Chat so we can get you into the Frankenstein League, and make sure you tune in live to the next episode because head-to-head's coming up, and they're going to be talking even more in-depth IDP analysis. So everybody, for myself, for Nino, for Boomer, we appreciate you tuning in. We will catch you all